Food is the first item people race for when a tragedy strikes. Fear spreads more quickly than the storm itself. Neighbors become rivals, and shelves are emptied in a matter of hours. Food by itself won't save you, but that's the part that nobody wants to acknowledge. Consider it. If the water isn't running, the power is out, and the tools you rely on aren't working, what good is a pantry full of grains and beans? It takes more than calories to survive. When everything else fails, it's about how you use them, how you stay safe, how you stay warm, and how you stay alive. Furthermore, the most useful survival tools aren't the gaudy devices you see in prep magazines. They are not the expensive items seen in those internet doomsday packages. The inexpensive commonplace goods that are already in your house, stuff that you most likely threw in a drawer without giving it any thought, are the true lifesavers. However, those overlooked things become invaluable when the grid goes down. They will actually be more valuable than the actual meal. And today I'm dissecting 10 of these commonplace objects that might be the difference between barely getting by and genuinely living. Almost everyone ignores this one. So let's start with simple white candles. Darkness strikes like a hammer when the electricity grid breaks, not gradually. Panic sets in as neighborhoods disappear into darkness and cities go silent. When most individuals search for flashlights, they usually find uncharged lanterns or dead batteries. But those who are ready, they are going to light a candle. Simple unscented utilitarian candles, not the ornate scented ones on your coffee table. Inexpensive, trustworthy, always prepared. A candle's simplicity is what makes it so beautiful. No charging cables, batteries, or delicate gadgets that malfunction the minute they get wet. Only a steady light and a flame. A candle can do more than just illuminate a space though. It can provide a few degrees of warmth in a tiny area, which can be life-saving on chilly nights. And that dim flame is silent. Candles don't let everyone know you have supplies, unlike buzzing LEDs or roaring generators. Silence is safety when it comes to survival. The majority of people overlook the fact that candles are valuable commodities. One candle could mean the difference between food, water, or even safety while your neighbor is fumbling in the dark with a dead flashlight. Wax itself is very helpful. It can be used to mend tiny equipment, waterproof matches, and seal containers. In addition to waterproof matches and lighters, I personally keep dozens of basic white candles in my bag, because a candle is more than simply light in a dark world. It is survival itself. Let's now discuss something you've most likely thrown out many times without giving it much thought: empty plastic bottles. Tomorrow's treasure is today's rubbish. While they may seem like recycling at the moment, an empty milk jug or soda bottle could save your life in an emergency. Why? Because survival alters when the flow of clean water stops. You can survive for weeks without eating, but without water, in no more than 3 days you will be gone. At that point, the value of plastic bottles surpasses that of gold. They are long-lasting, lightweight, and made to be stored safely. They enable you to safeguard, ration, and carry your most valuable resource. Your portable lifeline is ready when you fill them up before the taps run out. However, their worth goes beyond that. When you cut one apart, you're left with a little cooking container, a funnel, or even a scoop. Because UV rays destroy hazardous bacteria, you can use a bottle of water as a natural purifier by leaving it in the sun for a few hours. That is a genuine tried-and-true survival technique, not a scam. Additionally, bottles have trade value, much like candles. You become the most important person in the world when you give someone a gallon of clean water or a leak-proof container when they have none. That one piece of trash has more negotiating power than food. I thus carry a supply of dried and clean bottles in my kit, including gallon jugs, 2-liter soda bottles, and smaller containers, all of which are prepared for use. They could save your life, they're ubiquitous, and they're free. Let me ask you this: will you actually throw away a soda or jug of milk once you've finished it? Or will you hold on to it because you know it might become your most prized possession in the future? It becomes painfully easy to survive when the world shuts down. Batteries run out, machines stop working, and life abruptly becomes manual. Most people freeze at that point, powerless without their devices. The catch is that the individual with a basic set of hand tools immediately becomes the most valued person in the area. Consider it. It's no longer merely a nuisance when doors jam, hinges break, containers leak, or pipes burst. They pose a hazard to survival. Additionally, you won't be saved by any app device or customer service contact. Forget about cord-required tools like circular saws and power drills. They are just heavy garbage when the grid is down. The essentials include a hammer, pliers, screwdrivers, a wrench, and sometimes a small handsaw. Big power with little tools. You can fix damaged equipment or gain access to gear compartments with a screwdriver. Pliers can be used to twist wires into place, tighten straps, and remove nails. A saw, that forgotten pallet suddenly turns into shelter or even firewood. Additionally, when your only means of transportation is breaking down, a simple solid steel wrench can be used to mend a broken wheel, adjust pipes, and unlock gas valves. These are leverage, not only tools. You're not merely exchanging labor when you're the only one capable of repairing your neighbor's collapsing roof. You're giving up leadership, stability, and safety. That is more valuable than food in a collapsed world. Not to mention defense, which is another aspect of survival. In desperate hands, a claw hammer is more than just a tool for repairs. It has immediate deterrence. Having solid steel in your hands conveys a message that no one wants to dispute. My configuration: a multi-bit screwdriver, needle nose pliers, a crescent wrench, a small hammer, and a hacksaw blade are the basic tools I keep in a little roll. Nothing big or ostentatious, but everything I would require in the event that everything literally fell apart. So consider this: would you be the one repairing something that breaks in the thick of turmoil, or will you be the one pleading for assistance? The truth is that in survival, the person with food eats first, while the person with tools is accepted into every camp. And that leads us to your hands, another survival necessity that nearly anyone considers until it's too late. Your hands are more than just a part of you in a collapse. They are your lifeline. You're lugging supplies, repairing equipment, chopping wood, and moving rubbish. Your grip determines every action and task. The grim truth is that you could be rendered inoperable by a single cut, deep splinter, or shattered finger. Additionally, even a minor cut might become fatal in the absence of hospitals, sutures, and antibiotics. Heavy-duty work gloves are therefore required. They are armor for survival. Thick, strengthened gloves, not the cheap cotton ones that tear the minute you touch something sharp. Leather, rubberized, or if available, lined with Kevlar. The purpose of these gloves is to protect your hands from harm. You will encounter splintered wood, jagged metal, and broken glass on a daily basis in collapse. Each one is a potential illness if left unprotected. It's not only cuts either. Gloves prevent frostbite from taking your grip in cold conditions. When you're building a shelter in frigid temperatures or splitting firewood, they keep your hands warm and functional. When they're absent, hesitation sets in, and hesitation kills in survival. Gloves allow you to act fearlessly as you grip, lift, and operate. That self-assurance is survival. Gloves have trade value just like everything else we've discussed. People will have food and batteries on hand, but they will exchange nearly anything for a good pair of gloves when their hands are raw, bleeding, and useless. I personally bring 2 sets, rubber-coated for slick damp labor and heavy-duty leather for demanding tasks. Both are ready for me when I need them, packed in waterproof bags. Because you're done when your hands are gone. Here's the question: are you going to rely on band-aids and blisters to get by, or are you safeguarding your most valuable tool? Ultimately, your hands are the battle, not just a component of it, and they will only survive if they are protected. Most people fear when the roof begins to leak during a storm. Even the strongest walls no longer feel like security when the rain pours in and the wind howls through broken windows. At that point, plastic sheeting, one of the least expensive and most disregarded items, becomes a lifesaver. The type that most people purchase to cover old furniture or paint walls. That thin layer of plastic becomes the barrier between safety and exposure in the event of a collapse. The deal is this: almost anything may be accomplished with thick 6mm plastic sheets. In need of temporary housing, you can quickly create a roof by stretching it over a frame. Has a hurricane blown out your window? If you tape it up, the rain and wind will remain outside where they belong. Does cold bring out the power? To prevent freezing during the night, create a survival hot zone by enclosing one area with plastic. The story doesn't end there. A rainwater collection system can be created by stretching plastic between trees. With it, you may construct a solar still that will make contaminated water drinkable. A friend who is hurt? A piece of plastic can be used as a ground cover, a stretcher, or even a hygienic barrier to confine bacteria and blood. Do you want to hide from onlookers? Your house disappears into the darkness when you cover your windows with plastic. The worst part is that nobody considers plastic sheeting until it's too late. However, you are the most prepared person in the neighborhood when the storm hits and you take out a folded 9x12 sheet. water, warmth, shelter, and protection in one affordable portable package. I personally keep 4 folded sheets in various sizes, 2 in storage, 1 in my car and 1 in my bug-out bag. Their usefulness in survival is incalculable, despite the fact that they are nearly weightless and inexpensive. So consider this: will you be soaked and wishing you had planned beforehand, or will you be dry when the rain starts to pour? Let's move on to another unsung hero of survival: used towels and rags. Yes, exactly. The tattered cloth you nearly threw away last spring, the items crammed into the back of your garage, those pieces of cloth prove invaluable in survival. Why? Due to the untidy nature of collapse. Mud, blood, broken equipment, spills, perspiration, and illness all accumulate quickly. You're in trouble if you're unable to clean, dry, or absorb. Drying after a storm isn't the only use for a towel. Towels provide reusable sanitation when toilet paper runs out. Reuse, bleach, and boil it. Towels can be used as pressure wraps, bandages, slings, or padding for fractures and first aid. Old cloth can be used as a temporary pillow on a cold floor, as insulation in a sleeping bag, or as a draft blocker in a window. Rags, they are equally important. They filter soiled water before purification, wipe off equipment, clean kitchenware, and wrap fire starter kits to keep them dry. What most people don't know is that towels are valuable commodities. The man with the dry, clean towel suddenly has power 2 weeks after the collapse, when everyone is covered in dirt and illness is spreading. For the opportunity to wipe out and regain their humanity, people will sacrifice food, equipment, and even safety. I have 6 towels in my kit because of this: 3 full-size towels and 3 rags that have been chopped and vacuum sealed with bleach tablets. No soft fluff, no beautiful prints. All you need to save a life is clean, absorbent cloth, because the man with the towel is the one that everyone needs when things become dirty. Let's move on to a little inexpensive and almost ridiculously basic item that serves as the binding agent for survival: zip ties. For most individuals, they are just leftovers from the toolbox or office supplies. However, those tiny pieces of plastic come in quite handy when your equipment malfunctions, your tarp tears, or your straps break during a bug-out. You can fix a pack, lash tools to your belt, reinforce a broken crate, or fasten a tarp to a tree in a matter of seconds. Swift, silent, and more powerful than they appear. Zip ties are not only useful, but also necessary in a collapse. Consider yourself in a dire circumstance where you must survive. Shelter is failing, gear is breaking, and you have only a few seconds to take action. What tool has the ability to quickly repair, construct, and even defend? Zip ties. Most people are unaware of how much power these tiny plastic strips possess. Do you need a flashlight mounted? No issue. Do you want to quickly construct a shelter? Walls can be created instantly by snapping a few branches together. Zip ties are faster than practically any tool you may take, and speed is crucial in survival situations. However, they can make the difference between safety and disaster, so they're not simply about convenience. Imagine having to cope with someone threatening your camp or a looter. You're in charge after putting 2 sturdy knots around your wrists. They provide you time, security, and the advantage, which is why the military and police utilize them. The list of uses is endless. Add homemade handles to goods that are too uncomfortable to raise, bundle heavy firewood for ease hauling, or hang your food out of scavengers' grasp. Do you have a loose tarp or a leaking supply bucket? Zip ties take only a few seconds to secure and seal. When you're on the go, they can replace half of your toolkit, making them the Swiss Army knife of fasteners. Consider trading value now. Imagine arriving at a camp where all of the equipment is malfunctioning, such as tarps drooping, straps breaking, and containers breaking. You become the most valued person in the room when you take out a pack of zip ties. For the opportunity to restore what they have lost, people may exchange food, water, or even protection. I carry the 4-inch, 8-inch, and 12-inch diameters in my own setup. In all, more than 100 ties were tightly wrapped and kept dry. Because the man with zip ties goes on building, repairing, and living even when things break.